Good morning, everybody, and welcome to What's Hot Now here on the Open. We're taking a look at all the action that's going on after basically what's been a red overnight session in Asia, and we also have a red session over in Europe. Obviously, if you take a look at the overnight action report and basically any headline out today, we've been talking about this for a week since the referendum came to light. Italy. They're going to be looking for some reforms to potentially turn the government upside down. Right now, and we know about polls, hello, the polls are saying that the no vote is in the lead, but we're going to see. If the no vote actually comes to fruition, the Prime Minister of Italy has already said, or President said he would step down. And there could be some turmoil. But again, we're watching that closely, and it has impacted the markets. The index futures here in the States all night basically stayed in a very tight, narrow range. And on the open, you're seeing that they still stay in that range. But I'm taking a look at the Dow Jones, down about 36 points at 19,158. The Russell 2000 is trading at 1314.90. Down about $1.30, and the Nasdaq is at 4733.75, down 2 1/4, and the S&P 500 futures are down 2 1/4 at 2189.50. You see the dollar is also down. You see crude actually up this morning at 51.34. I say that only because I'm still scratching my head about the old OPEC meeting. We'll talk a little bit about that. Gold is firmer this morning, up $7 at 1176.40. So that's basically what you're seeing as far as the market action on the indices. And domestically here in the United States, we did have some data that we want to focus on. We had the November employment report out. The situation right now is that there was about 178,000 people on the private payrolls. You also are seeing that the average hourly earnings decreased by 0.1%. I want to highlight that because that's something that concerns me. You want wage inflation, and if you don't see wage inflation, some of this data tends to get muted, or I think should be muted, so you take it with a grain of salt. The information, though, that has come out so far this week and today with the employment data, which was basically in line or a little bit lower than expectations, I don't think it's going to change the Fed's mind going into their December meeting on the 14th to raise rates. Right now, the Fed funds tool at the CME still has it at a 92, almost 93% probability that they will raise rates at least a 1/4 point. Now, treasuries, though, are going to be your guidepost, and the treasury prices have been on the move to the upside. Now, that could be a flight to safety with the Italian referendum on the docket. Now, some of you might say, why are you talking about Italy so much? The bottom line is it's the same concept of what's happened in the UK when the British voted that they wanted to leave the Union. Well, this is part of the referendum. Not only will this basically, if they vote yes on this referendum, that will take, there are 1,100 person Senate and House. Now, they have a huge 900 person House. But basically, it would disband that whole entire entity, which means their government is turned over. And also on that referendum is the potential to leave the European Union. Now, the U.S. bonds here, the prices have been moving up, which means now yields are coming down. The 10-year yield is now down 4 basis points at 2.41%, and it's coming off of its lows for the overnight session and early in this morning, the opening bell at around 2.4%. So we're going to keep an eye on that. I want to see how the fixed income markets and the global fixed income markets are all down across the board. You've seen prices are going up. There's a safety trade right now going into this referendum. As I noted before, oil futures are up. OPEC did come out with their conclusion with their meeting. They are going to put production cuts in place. They're going to cap it. To be quite honest with you folks, if you actually look at the data, the amount of production that these countries were doing before they said that they would reduce their production caps, productions levels, it was at almost all-time highs. For example, Russia, they were in October, they were pumping 11.2 million barrels a day. If you look back in July, they were only pumping 10.5 million barrels. So a 300,000 barrel reduction per day. I don't see it. I need to see the demand structure increase. You see West Texas here in the United States trading at 51.27. It is up 0.5% or 23 cents. And you're also seeing USO up today at 11.33. That's the ETF that you can track if you don't have access to futures for oil. On the corporate news front, there was an interesting headline last night that came out. Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz is going to be stepping aside, taking a different role in the company as chairman. And so there will be a new chief executive officer that will be coming aboard in April. It looks like it's going to be an internal source right now, but that has not been confirmed. The stock was down overnight on the news. It's trading down about $1.81 or 3%. Interesting news. Going to watch that one. Other notable thing and names that are moving, that's hot on the open, that are either gapping up or down. After upgrades, you see ticker symbol 5 up 11%, Alta up 6%. You see BIG up 3%. You're also seeing JCPenney, JCP up 3%, and you're also seeing, and that's after what was a decent earnings and some decent comps out of JCP. You're also starting to see action in Smith & Wesson, also ZUMZ and GII, all down between basically about 4% and 9%, Smith & Wesson being the most notable one after some earnings that I think were mixed, and there could be some profit taking in some of these segments. Lululemon also is down about 3% on a downgrade. You also see Gap stores down 1.5%. Now they're reporting they reported same-store sales for November, actually down only 1%. And if you look at it comparative to last year, year over year, they were down 8% as far as same-store sales. So maybe the holiday season is starting to pick up for traditional retailer Gap stores. Should be interesting to watch. Some EU financial names that you want to keep an eye on that are showing some weakness. We talked about this a little bit in the overnight action report. ING down 2%, 2.8%, almost 3%. Credit Suisse, ticker symbol CS, down 2.8%. ING down 2.5%. Deutsche Bank down, that's ticker symbol DB, 2.4%. And BCS down 2%. So we're going to see if the uncertainty with the Italian referendum that's going to be voted on Sunday evening, November 4th, we're going to see if that continues to weigh on not only the European markets, the Asian markets, but we're going to see how it's going to weigh on the U.S. markets. With that being said, you can join us on Sunday night at 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, where we're going to be setting up the trading week, and we'll be talking about this referendum as well, and we'll see what's going on in the overnight action. So with that being said, join us at 1:30 Eastern Time. We will take a look at the strategies that are being deployed at the midday and talk a little bit about what's going to go on towards the end of the close. So join us then here at MarketStream.live at 1:30 Eastern Time. See you then.